Namaskar and welcome to this Sattology show, exciting show. Today we are going to simplify many complex definitions which make every Hindu insecure while answering question. Like when somebody asks you, what is your caste? I think if somebody asks you, what is your caste in the US, you can file a racial discrimination lawsuit against them directly because the caste means that you're casting racial aspersions on somebody. And it has also become a word where some other cultures take use it to demean Hindus and Hinduism across the USA. So, with that in mind, this was a very big parting shot for all of you. I would like you all of you to welcome a very prominent author, a very honest author, and he is publishing his articles and writings for many years in the best possible manner. He does deep research and comes up with an original understanding. And my point to most of the people, the doubting Thomases, is that you cannot make assumptions about Hinduism without learning the scriptures directly under a parampara. If you make such assumptions, then I think the American Hindu community is not is it is considered racist to a large extent, and it is very demeaning to most of them. So with that, I begin this by welcoming Sri Nithin Sridhar from India. Namaskar.
Namaste. Thank you for having me here.
So we see all this people usually dropping these racist terms on Hinduism all over the place. That you have a caste system is almost very demeaning because it is not as per their shastra. So what is a yoni and what is a caste? Because caste is a Portuguese term. It's not even Indian. It's casta, which is a two-class society, nobles and non-commoners. So viewers, watch it. Caste is not an Indian term. It is it is a Christian term to describe their own classical European system, not for India also. Later on, they exclusively use it for India. Now, Nathan, please tell us what is the yoni and what is jati and what is caste?
First of all, I think it's very important question and a lot of misunderstanding is there. Today, when in the writings in English, the caste term is used, I mean, though it has a Portuguese origins and all, but most are not aware of these origins. And they use this term indiscriminately to refer to a number of different terms whose meanings are quite different. I mean, indigenously speaking, from if we go to the Shastras or go to the lived experience of Hindus, in Indian languages, you find terms like Kula, Jati, Varna, but caste is indiscriminately used to refer to all of them sometimes, some of them, and sometimes interchangeably. And so this creates a lot of confusion. So you asked about this yoni and jati, right? See, yoni basically means literal translation is the female sexual organ of is yoni. So it has a wide context. In different contexts, it means different things. And jati, the term has a relationship with janma, birth. So a jati is somebody, a jati of a person it's is related to what his community is, what community his parents are. So it's a social description in a sense. However, when we speak of caste, we use that caste also to refer to something called as varna, right? The Brahmana, Kshatriya. So all these textbook things, they speak about how Hinduism is divided into, four castes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and how there is oppression, discrimination, and all those things. So they're actually not using the caste jati, but they're using it to in the sense of varna. But there is again lot of um, cross applications, lot of misapplications, so to speak, which gives rise to a lot of confusion.
So I think coming back to this confusion of jati and varna. So Varna, so is can there be a new person like who comes to Hinduism, and so which Varna we can bring him in?
Yeah, I think that is a little bit more complicated to assign a varna to a person. Before I to address that, before addressing that, I think it is important to understand what is a varna or what is a jati. It is more easier to assign, for example, a jati to a person because historically speaking, see there are even in jati have to differentiate two things. One is a shastric definitions, how it is used in say Dharma Shastra, in the context of Varna and all, and how the jati has developed on the ground. You know, we have thousands of jatis on the ground in India today, which are all so this jati over historically uh, also refer to kind of guilds, trade guilds, and it was a indicator of um, the kind of like and so on and so forth. Then we have this jatis of Vaidyas, of potters, and all those things. And these identities were very localized. Whereas Varna, it has its application, it's a conceptual categorization of the society based on the swabhava or a characters or the basic innermost guna of a person. And this it's a conceptual understanding of, and this categorization is the purpose.
So viewers, we lost him. So let us see when he comes back, because I think there's a poor connection on their end. So meanwhile, just I'll continue on this Varna and Jati. Yes, welcome. Hello. Can you hear us?
Am I audible? Yeah, am I
Yes.
audible? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I was saying, so Varna as a categorization to human nature and to facilitate individuals to attain their own self-actualization, to practice the swadharma and attain self-actualization. And also, it has a very clear ritualistic context. On the other hand, um, this jati to social reality. It's a social grouping, and many of these grouping have arisen naturally. Then this related to trade and profession. And when we speak, understand when we say it's a swabhava, it's a swabhava on when we speak about how to practice it, how in reality. So how do identity give three criteria: guna and karma. So what does in this context it refers to prarabdha karma? These terms a little bit. What the Shastra says, the any birth a person gets is based on the actions that are done in the past life, the good, the bad of it, and it is the set of fruits, the set of karmas which are for this life, which are to be experienced in this life. It gives the kind of birth. It is
Nithin,
prarabdha
we are not
karma,
able to
and
hear
it
you clearly.
decides.
It's
Okay.
words are breaking apart.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
viewers, there is a problem in the connection. I think he's communicating, uh, and the lag is there.
And
Just
is
excuse
it
us.
okay now?
Uh,
Is it better now?
uh, yeah, continue speaking, and we'll know. You keep speaking, and then we'll know. Because I lost you again, and the frame froze.
Okay.
So
How is it now?
it's breaking, like slowly, like it's coming one word at a time.
Okay. Okay. I just changed the internet connection. Is it okay now?
Speak a little bit more, so I know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just changed my connection. Is it better now, or should I speak
Yeah, it's better
slowly
now.
or something
Better,
like that?
slightly better. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Continue where we are
so
continuing, like, yeah, for the,
yeah.
yeah.
So what I am saying is, so it is the prarabdha karma, which decides where a person takes birth, the what parents he or she has, or what community he or she is born. Everything is dependent upon the previous janmas karmas, right? So what the point to the important to understand here is the kind of swabhav or a character or the innermost the gunas that a person has. It is basically a function of the characters inherited from the parents as well as the characters that is inherited from previous lives. That's what is called as samskaras, right? So this is a complicated category. Varna is a complicated thing, and the most easiest way to understand Varna or assign Varna is through through our past and the previous yugas and all. It was usually the community in which a person is born, the parents who was used as a criteria for assigning Varna because that was a kind of a default criteria. And there were always exceptions, but that was the default criteria. But in Kali Yuga, things are a little bit more complicated because the Janma, Guna, and Karma, they are not always in sync today. The present realities are different. So we may have to assign Varna based on the swabhava of an individual, but that is also a little bit difficult. So, one of the things somebody I look up to, Shri Dr. Bharat Gupji, is a scholar, he is a professor, he's a Sanskrit scholar of Dharma Shastra and all. What he suggested was when some outsiders come to Hindu Dharma, when they come to Hindu Dharma, we should have a ritual process wherein some family adopts that person as a part of their own family, you know. Then such a person can take up the jati, that can take up the varna of that family. So that is a one way of assigning because it is very difficult for any person to assign a varna to somebody, some other person. It is not possible. Either you have to use the janma, which is a default criteria, or uh, individuals have to understand because what is the function of most relevant function of Varna system in today's time? It is the relevancy is for the individuals. See, I, for example, I can self introspect myself. What do I like? What do I don't like? What is my inner calling? See, I was a civil engineer, but my inner calling was to do something related to knowledge. So by such self introspection, I can see that I have a potential to, I have a inner calling towards Brahmanatva. See, we are all in the process of journey. We have not attained the goal. So, using this framework, any individual, whether they are following Hindu Dharma or they are not following Hindu Dharma, they can make use of this framework to understand where they stand in life and how to proceed further.
So today, if a Muslim or a Christian wants to become a Hindu and is a teacher in their profession, so will they be considered Brahmana in Hinduism?
That is again a very problematic question. There is no yes or no answer. But I will like to clarify one thing here. teacher by definition does not mean a Brahmana, right? See, when we speak about Brahmana, we have to again understand different layers of definitions. The most highest and the uh, most highest or ideal definition of a Brahmana is one who has attained Brahman, attained moksha. I have become a mukta, right? Who is in communion or who is in realized person, right? So that is the ideal definition of a Brahmana. But rest of all are trying to attain that state. Who are those? We have from the Shastras, we have certain where Gita speaks about Shankaracharya in his commentary to Gita, he says, one who has sattva, who is guided by sattva, is a Brahmana. And in the Manusmriti and all, we have certain duties given for a Brahmana, which includes doing Vaidika rituals, having this adhikaratvam and competency to study Vedas and all those things. Anybody, if a Muslim converts to Hinduism, he cannot be a Brahmana just because he's a teacher. Because teacher of secular subjects does not make them a Brahmana. Brahmana has a particular role, particular function in the Hindu worldview. And this function has to do with rituals, and this function has to do with the moksha aspect of the Purusharthas, moksha and dharma aspects of the Purusharthas. For the Loka Kalyanam, his function is ritualistic, right? And his function is knowledge based. But what knowledge? The Vaidika knowledge, the Shastra knowledge, right? It is not a secular subject. Anybody can
So
teach
one,
secular subjects. For example, in the Manusmriti, we have a statement that a Brahmana must learn from everybody, including a Shudra, their particular fields of knowledge. So that means teachers can be from any Varna, teachers of their particular subjects. So I guess that kind of indirectly answers the question that you asked.
now if I say a hypothetical question, so how many Hindus are good Brahmanas today?
I don't know. I mean, hypothetically, see, we can
So
who are truly following those who are truly following a Brahmana way of life, even among those who are from the Brahmana Jati, the birth basis, even among them, those who are truly fully following to the wholesome way, it's a very small minority.
yeah, my point is
I don't know.
exactly
I
that.
don't have a
My my point is exactly that. That most of the Brahmana, so-called Brahmana in India, also don't follow the culture. So there are many Muslims and many Christians. They want to become a Hindu. They want to come back, and so we apply a very hard check on the people who want to come back, and whereas we are very lenient on ourselves. So, so many people I meet, they want to become a. So I said that if your activities are not like Brahmana, you cannot become. But then the question is, how many Brahmana today are acting like Brahmana also?
But I think I will address this. I think there is a point missing here. Shastrically speaking, even those who are born in a Brahmin family but not acting according to a
They call
Brahmana,
Dvija.
we are not actually lenient upon them in the sense the Shastras were very clear. The Shastric rules are very stringent. For example, Brahmanas have to do this Somayagya and all those things, right? But not every Brahmin person is allowed to do it just by the sake of birth because they have to first do a lot of anushtanams, a lot of practice. They have to have Upanayanam, they have to regularly practice Sandhya Vandanam, and they have to do a lot of other things before they become eligible to do that activity. So the criteria are as strict as it was always. The thing is, people have stopped following it today, and that is an unfortunate thing. So we have to encourage them to retake this thing. Yeah, and the current social situations are also partly to fault because the Brahmanas were supported by the society. They were supported financially. They were supported to sustain their livelihood so that they can completely concentrate on the the dharmic activities. But nowadays, people have to support themselves. The priests in some of the temples, they are paid a monthly hardly 2,000, 3,000 rupees. Even a mason, who works in building, houses and all, he is paid more than that. He is paid 300, 400, or 500 rupees per day. These priests, the purohitas, the priest is not a proper word for them. These archakas who do the temple duties, they are paid 2 to 3,000 or 4,000 per month. Just imagine the kind of life poverty they are facing. I think we need to understand this also. As far as others coming to Hinduism, we should be completely open to taking anybody who is willing to come, anybody who is really willing to come, and then there could be a kind of, as I said, Dr. Bharat Putri has suggested certain process which can be implemented, like they could be given a kind of a diksha, a mantra diksha into some sampradaya. They could be given a ishta devata as per their will and wish. Yeah, I think we need to get rid of one thing very important, that everybody has to be a brahmana. Some that kind of identity itself makes all the difference. It does not. What really makes a difference is the inner transformation. And inner transformation attaining the ultimate goal can happen to people in any varna. See, we have so many saints, so many yogis, so many siddhas from all varnas, all the four varnas, all the panchama varna, from every community we have these people who have attained highest goal, highest spiritual goal, highest material goal. So I think we should concentrate on this aspect, inner transformation, and rather than trying to make identity politics, right?
No, let me make it more complex on this issue actually, and then we'll come back on this issue more later on. But let me make it more complex here. So, Brahman, Kshatriya, Visham, Shudranam, cha Parantava, Karmani, Pravibhaktani, Swabhav, Prabhaver, Gune. Krishna says Bhagavad Gita that these four are distinguished by the qualities born from their natures in accordance with Guna. So this is not a something. This like through qualities you can understand who is in that status. You don't, the I'll first of all say that of the four varna, and it is a question as well as my comment as well. Is anyone higher or lower? I think that is a general misconception. The Brahmanas are the highest, but there are four different categories. There are four different purposes in the society. All are equally important, and very few people know that Shudras were the middle class, and they were the most wealthiest of the entire classes, all the four classes society, because everyone needs them to make the house beautiful, get them something. So they were the earning members of society, and they were the least taxed also. So they
Very,
had a lot of
very,
spendable income.
yes, very important question, and it is a huge misconception. We need to let me give a other metaphor. See, Hindu temple, the structure of a Hindu temple is conceived as a Purusha, right? The universal Purusha. The Garbhagriha is a where the deity is the head, and there is the feet, the hands, and legs. Okay, but in a temple, when the Purusha is conceived, it is a horizontal Purusha, not a vertical Purusha. It's a horizontal structure. The Garbhagriha here is there, it's the head, and horizontally moving forward, you have the belly, the feet, and everything. The door, where the door is the feet, right? So when we think about Varnas and the Purusha Sukta, which is, completely misinterpreted, we think of Purusha in a vertical format and think, oh, the head is more important, it is higher, the legs are lower. No, it is not like that. Purusha is a horizontal entity. So all of them, all the body parts have their own importance. A person cannot work without the legs, without the hands, without the thighs, without the head, right? So it is important to understand that when Varnas is compared to a human body or the cosmic Purusha, the purpose is it is saying that all the Varnas have origins in the Purusha and hence all the Varnas are equal. But here, equal does not mean sameness. Equal simply, but it simply means that they are all have a same origin, but they all have different functions. So the Brahmana is equated with the mouth and the head because of the function he performs in the society. This function is spiritual upliftment of the whole society. It is the ritualistic function. It is the function of intelligence. The Kshatriya perform and he is sattvic in nature, and the Kshatriya performs the function of activity, passion. The through his force of strength, physical strength, martial strength, he protects the whole society. The Vaishya, through his strength of money, nourishes the whole society. The Shudra, through the he upholds the whole society, holds the whole body, right? So in this sense, it is there is no hierarchy. There is no hierarchy at the physical level, at the social level. A Brahmana who is supposed to be most spiritually evolved is economically the most poor. He is the poor person. That the Shastra says that Brahmana's life has to be lived in a poverty. He has to do the tapas.
Well,
The
that's
Kshatriya,
a direct discouragement for many people who want to become Brahmana because it's a life of poverty. And my
exactly.
question to many people here is, people who are asking these questions is can anyone live without the organs like pancreas, gallbladders, and other organs in the body? Can anyone live without them? It's not possible. I mean, you can have a very beautiful body from outside and you'll be missing a liver. Now, how will that body function? Or a
Yes.
gallbladder, or pancreas, or kidneys. If any of these organs are missing, you cannot retain a healthy looking body. Yeah, go ahead, Nithin.
Yeah. So, from a social perspective, from an economic perspective, the Varnas do not differentiate. It is not a hierarchy because a Vaishya has the economic power, but he does not have the power of ruler, the kind of Kshatriya martial
Administration.
power, administration. The Kshatriyas have the administration power as well as economic power, but they do not have other things. The Shudras have the power of manpower, the human resource, right? So we need to, from a social perspective, from an economic perspective, or from a political perspective, Varna system, Varna conception is not hierarchical. If we speak of hierarchy, it can be possible only in very one particular sense. What is it? It is in the context of an individual. That individual's journey is towards moksha. It's towards from tamas to sattva and then beyond sattva, right? So when we in this sense that we can speak of a hierarchy in a very limited sense. That see now uh, I have a predominance of tamas. That is okay. I have to keep doing my swadharma. Eventually, if not in this life, in some other life, because of the punya generated, the dharmic merit generated by my practicing swadharma that is relevant to me in this life, I will slowly attain sattva and then beyond sattva to moksha. It is only in this very limited sense you can think of hierarchy. In no other sense there is hierarchy. In the social sense, in economics, see there is a very well-known story in the Puranas that Harishchandra, you know, sold himself to the person who looks after the smashana, the cremation ground. Who is this person who looks after cremation ground? He is what is today called as Chandala. So supposed to be the most lowest of the jatis, right? But that person had enough money to buy Harishchandra and to clear off all the debts of Harishchandra. Just imagine, debts of a king is not 1 or 2 rupees. It is not $1 or $2. It would be millions of dollars, right? So debts of such a person, this person who burns the dead bodies, he was able to buy. he was clear the debts of that such a person, right? So we need to have a more balanced, nuanced understanding uh, without the political preconceptions that we have today. See, today the whole thing have been messed up. Post-colonial society, the British with their caste narrative frees the jatis. Before the British, the whole jati system was very localized. The kind of it was a function of very complicated identities, and it was very different from one village to another village and one region to another region. Even today, by merely the surnames or the caste names, a person in Karnataka cannot make out what Varna or what Jati is of a person in Bengal or a person in Bihar or a person in Punjab cannot make out this Jati of a person in Tamil Nadu. It is simply not possible because they are very localized structure. However, what the British did was, and there were conflicting reports of so-called hierarchy. See, each jati considered themselves as to be superior to somebody else, and there were conflicting reports. The other also considered themselves superior. These are human things. These are not written in shastras, right? What British did was they freezed. They haphazardly, by some surveys, some conducting some kind of survey, they fixed these jatis. This is higher, this is lower, and they fixed them during their census. And even post independence, we have maintained that registry, that classification, and we have created this. The reservation, for example, is based on this scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. But that is an identity created during the colonial times. There was no term as scheduled castes before that. There, what were there were very many indigenous jatis, indigenous kulas, and there were hundreds and thousands of them. And so you get the point, right? The current political situation is very problematic. But let me add that what I have people like S.M. Balagangadharaji and Prakash Raji, and they've written a lot of material on this. How the caste system is a Western experience of the colonial experience of India. It is not a system per se in India, but it is a experience of the West. However, this does not mean that Jatis did not present. It's still present. The communities are there. The complex dynamics are there even today. And yes, there are certain incidences of discrimination even today. We should not whitewash them. We should not defend them. We have to critique them. We have to stop that. Yes. At the same time, we have to be very careful in creating a narrative of some kind of homogeneous system, some kind of oppressive system that was everywhere there, because that is not true. In today, for example, in Tamil Nadu, that all these Dravidian movements, they did huge atrocities on the Brahmins. But nowhere in this so-called caste politics, caste narrative, this anti-Brahminism, this Brahmin phobia, so to speak, or this atrocities on Brahmin community is reported. It is not even taken into account. It is as if they are saying, well done. It is something that is upheld as something good. So this is the kind of perversion that is present in present political narrative, unfortunately.
No, very well, and I think our time is up. And viewers, thank you for watching and asking all the good questions. We'll continue the same topic next time in Nithin within a week, and we'll make sure that we come to the crux of it. We'll do very hard discussion so that you get a lot of clarity on it, and we will come up with a solution also. Let's see what happens. Namaskar and thank you all. Namaskar, Nitin ji. So much.
Thank you.